Inspector Mark Duke has phoned the program. Chief Inspector, what can I do for you?
G'day, Ray. How are you?
Not bad, mate.
Mate, just a few... I didn't hear your segment earlier on, but a few...
Well, you're at a disadvantage if you've got it second hand, but go for your life and I'll tell you what I did say.
Mate, basically, just to fill the public in, we've been working very hard over recent years in relation to road enforcement and how the public perceive the New South Wales Police. So the last thing I'm wanting is them to see policemen getting off a speeding ticket. But primarily, this ticket took place when I was looking at a vehicle due to the way they were driving. I've overtaken a number
Well, just hang on a sec, okay? That's being disputed by an assistant commissioner I've spoken to this morning who's seen the in-car video evidence of what was happening, and he, after viewing the video, because you obviously asked for it to be dismissed, the ticket, could find nothing wrong with the driver of the covert car. He wasn't doing anything untoward. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Ray, that's readily admitted by myself. The thing is that the car and their manner of driving is not showing up on the video. If they're driving in a straight line, I've actually come in behind the vehicle at the carry-on on-ramp.
Yeah. And
I've seen them, and the type of vehicles drew my attention to it.
What type? What? Because it was a ute with dark windows.
Yeah, and just what they were doing, and
hang on, stop. What were they doing?
The way they were sitting behind vehicles and stuff like that, and changing lanes. So primarily...
Well, hang on. You just said it was driving in a straight line. The Assistant Commissioner told me this morning there's nothing untoward about the performance of that vehicle on the F3. In other words, he said to me they weren't changing lanes, they weren't doing anything wrong, they were driving in a normal fashion. So if you'd want that, why didn't you plead not guilty and allow the court to see the video?
I pleaded guilty with a way of explanation as to what happened, and the representations that I made, not only to state debt recovery, but by email to traffic services, fully outlaid that. And there's been no denying that at the time I was speeding readily, and it's in the first email that I've sent.
But via this article, Chief Inspector, by Richard Noon, which is most sympathetic, do you know Richard Noon at all?
I do know Richard from up here at the Central Coast.
I see. So Richard's based on the Central Coast, is he? So you have dealings with Richard on a regular basis, because he starts the story by saying the extent of the sneaky tricks some cops use to catch motorists has been revealed after a highly decorated officer was booked for speeding. That's been written, in my estimation, rather sympathetically to you. Would you agree with that?
Look, not commenting on policy and a lot of media, Ray, I think it might be just in relation to the hype that's going on here.
No, I think what it is Richard based on the Central Coast, is he?
Yeah, but Craig Doyle from the local council's also taken it upon himself to ban mobile speed cameras up here. So there is a little bit of an interest.
Well, hang on. How can so let's put ourselves out there. As a Chief Inspector of Police, are you at odds with either Assistant Commissioner John Hartley or the Commissioner of Police over this policy? Are you? Do you think it's bad policy?
No, I'm not at odds. What I was at odds is that at any time there's an expectation that we will do things 24/7. Now, in respect to this ticket, which I readily admit that at the time I was overtaking vehicles and exceeding the speed limit.
Yeah, we know that.
The fact is that I was looking at this ute primarily due...
Well, why didn't you pull the ute over?
Well, I was in my own car. Now, what I've argued...
Well, hang on. You can't have it both ways, Chief Inspector. You're either on duty 24/7 or you're not. If you thought there were hoons in the car misbehaving, you've got an obligation under your sworn warrant card to pull them over and do something about it. But you didn't do it.
Ray, what I've done is I've sat behind the vehicle for a while, looked at them, they've pulled next to me. In the end, I've said they're okay, right? And basically, apart from remembering...
So they weren't doing anything wrong then, but you overtook them at 125?
No, look, Ray, I'm not going to argue with you, but initially, what I'm trying to tell you and the public is, initially, when I saw the vehicle, my attention was drawn to it. And I looked at it, couldn't see in it, I've overtaken it, they've done the same thing, and so forth. So the facts are not disputed.
Well, hang on, were they doing 125 when they overtook you?
Yes, they would have been, because they've overtaken me after...
Well, you could have given evidence about that, and you could have the young copper who was inside the car before a court for speeding as well.
I could have taken action, Ray, because, as I said, I sat behind them and did an estimated speed on them. The thing is, at the time... Why
didn't you... You're a Chief Inspector attached to the Central Coast, obviously. Why didn't you ring from your mobile phone inside your car, your highway patrol, and say, I've got a hoon on the F3 doing 125 and playing chicken with me? Why didn't you do that?
Ray, after sitting behind them and sitting next to them, down through Barriera and everything else,
yeah,
I didn't think anything else of it. They've sat there. Their speed was at the speed limit.
Well, hang on. No, whoa. You just told me... No, stop. You're contradicting yourself. You just told me 35 seconds ago they were doing 125. And now you're telling me they were at the speed limit. That's why you didn't take any action.
After I initially saw them, Ray, and I've overtaken them. Look, I'm not going to...
No. Listen. I don't like being treated like a dope, Chief Inspector. And you told me 45 seconds ago now, I said, were they speeding? You said yes. You've just contradicted yourself on air by saying, no, they weren't doing anything wrong, so I didn't proceed with any matter. They either were speeding or they weren't.
Because representation through state debt recovery didn't eventuate.
Because you were doing 125 and 110 zone, that's why nothing eventuated.
Because the offence has never been denied, Ray. The circumstances surrounding the offence were the issue.
Well, I'd have to say to you, based on what you've told me here, and I'll leave it to the audience to determine for themselves, you told me one thing, and then within a minute you told me completely the opposite. Now, you've either got a really poor memory, or you're telling me fibs, one of the two.
Look, I didn't have to come on and explain to you.
No, I didn't ask you to come on, mate. You rang me and you were advised by my staff you were putting yourself at risk by coming on the program.
Look, Ray, the thing is, under the two sections that I mentioned to the magistrate at Gosford, I raised the fact that whilst as a police officer my vehicle can be deemed as an emergency vehicle, and under Section 161 of the Road Regulations Act in New South Wales...
Were you going anywhere at the time? Where were you going at the time if it was an emergency? Were you rushing somewhere?
No, when I was looking at the vehicle at the time of the offence, Ray...
Yeah.
Okay,
I just want to clear up, was the vehicle speeding or not, the other vehicle, I mean, because you did tell me it was, then you told me it wasn't. I don't quite know. Was it...
There were actions initially that brought my attention...
No, the question is a very simple one, Chief Inspector. Was the vehicle speeding or was it not speeding, yes or no?
In my opinion, when it overtook me, yes, I do believe it would have
So
been.
it was speeding. So, OK, then I'll get to my next question. Why then didn't you, as a Chief Inspector on the Central Coast, ring your highway patrol from your mobile phone and say there's a vehicle speeding on the F3, you need to come down here and attend to it?
Yeah. Ray, that could have been a situation. I looked at the car. I know I didn't take action at it.
OK.
You know,
and so you didn't?
And as Mr Elton said at the court, he has numerous times where police take action against vehicles that appear before him where they've been off duty. Now, the thing is, having worked for 27 years in the police...
Oh, we read that wonderful piece from Richard Dean up there, 27 years of policing, distinguished policing and all the rest of it. It sounds to me like it's a little social club there at the Central Coast where the media look after the local police officers. That's what it sounds like.
Well, Ray, you know, you've got your opinion, and all I basically wanted to do is say that at the time of the detection of the offence, so the public don't have any conception that the police are getting let off these offences.
No, well, we know that because of the officer in the ute, thanks to Strikeforce Taipan.
Yeah, and the video that shows my vehicle doing that speed, and that's all it shows. Beautiful.
And it shows the other, according to the Assistant Commissioner I've spoken to, it shows the other vehicle not doing anything wrong, despite what you assert on this program today. Because right. I'd imagine on that video, it would also dictate the speeds of the vehicle at any given stage of the vehicle that was booking you. So we would tend to think that if the vehicle was speeding, that they'd either get a bluey or a kick up the backside from John Hartley, who's their boss.
Right, well, you know, just so the public knows, the option was for me to take it to court and defend it with the explanation, and that's what I did. You know, I've been driving for nearly 31 years, and that was my option. Now, the representations didn't work.
By the way, just a question without notice, do you lose your points? Because I get complaints here all the time that magistrates can't take the points back, that that's only a matter for the RTA. Did you get the 6 points back, or will you get the 6 points back?
It was dismissed under Section 10A, Ray, so there's no conviction recorded.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that even when you get dismissed under Section 10A with no conviction recorded, you'd have to find a sympathetic RTA officer to give you your 6 points back because...
If the 6 points stand, that's something...
Well, I think you'll find, Officer, the Chief Inspector, they will stand, that you'll still wear the 6 points.
Well, that's fine, but the thing was, Ray, that the offence was detected when I was doing something, and that was my argument. The points are irrelevant, really. You know, if something could happen on the F3, a major rollover, things like that, we're often stopping assaults in the street. So, you know, the thing is that we've worked very hard to try and get to where we are in the public's eye, and I don't want this blown out to something
Well, maybe if you'd simply paid the fine and copped the points, we wouldn't be discussing it, would we? Seeing you were guilty. Were you guilty of driving in 125 and 110 zone?
Ray, I readily admit that.
Okay, beautiful. You should have paid the fine and copped the points like the rest of the population.
I expect a little bit more from you, Ray. You know,
No, I expect a bit more from you, Chief Inspector. You've been on the program now for 10 minutes, wasting a bit of my time and your valuable time. Yeah. You've obfuscated. You've taken us down a path. You've tried to portray that these young blokes in the car were doing the wrong thing when they weren't doing the wrong thing. You were the only one on the F3 that day speeding, and you've copped the fine as a result. You chose to take it to court. Then your mate, Mr. Noon, wrote about it in the paper on Saturday, portraying you as being a hero, not a villain. That's why I'm talking about it.
No, anyway, no worries.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye. I hope I'm not the Central Coast and Mark Deeth is after me at some time in the future. 131873 is the open line number. I'll leave the audience listening to me across Australia and here at Club Central Menai to make their adjudication on what really happened on that particular day. But by gee, I get cranky when young police officers are out there doing their job as instructed by their senior police officers, and then a senior officer wants to take them on and portray that they were the ones doing the wrong thing. Now, my understanding of it is, quite clearly, if there's a video in the car, as there are in all police cars, including that ute, that would show if those officers were speeding on that particular day. My information from an assistant commissioner illustrates they were not speeding on that particular day.